Hello and welcome to another edition of the How to Grow Your E-commerce Business podcast. As ever, I'm here with my partner in crime, Tom.
Hello.
Tom, what are we going to talk about this week?
Well, today, Trevor, we're going to talk about Shopify and what we like about it. So why should you use Shopify, and why do we recommend that people use Shopify as opposed to any other platform, of which there are many available?
Do you know, the first time I saw Shopify was like the first time I saw an iPhone. I was consumed by desire. I was like, where's it been my entire life? Because I've been using...
man might have used their wife rather than an iPhone as a comparison there. So luckily she doesn't watch this podcast. If she asks, we know what to tell her. But you're right. I mean, Shopify felt like a bit of a game changer when it came out a few years ago, and it has made building a website just much easier. Trevor, what do you like about Shopify?
Okay, well, the first thing I want to say, it's the ease of use. I think that, you used to use Magento and you it's always really difficult to make changes. And a lot of people actually used to get, I know that any changes had to go through their, go for their web developer. And with Shopify, anyone can just go in. It's very much a kind of a WYSIWYG editor. And also, I mean, things like, not only just editing the content, but adding images, creating products. And also, if you want to add an app, I mean, it's very, very easy. It's just installing an app on your phone. I remember I wanted to install an image optimization app on something like Magento. That would have been very hard. We would have had to think about things like server load. On Shopify, you just do it. And like a technical numpty like me can just do it. What do you like about Shopify, Tom?
I think my favorite thing about Shopify is it just gives you a better conversion rate. So we've transferred a number of sites over from another platform whose name I won't mention, but it begins with M and ends in Gento. And we saw conversion rates increase by 1 or 2 percentage points, which is huge. That's massive for a website.
So I think that's really because, the thing about Shopify, what the thing about conversion rate is really it's about how well the platform works. And I think with Shopify, because it's an out-of-the-box platform, they spend a lot of time making sure the platform works. Whereas something Magento, it's that whole it working well is just harder to do.
Yeah. So I think probably what you see on Shopify is that, and this is something that you never see because it's not reported on, but I think just more transactions are completed for,
yes.
I think on other platforms, more just fail for technical reasons, and you never get to see those. You just see it as an abandoned checkout or abandoned cart.
Well, it is hard to get to the bottom of those things, and all those problems go away.
So other reasons why conversion rate is better is, in terms of the checkout, as you said, the checkout's fixed. So, you can't configure it. Well, you can within limits. You can make it look like your brand, but fundamentally, there's little you can do to change it. But that's a good thing because it's best in class checkout. And I think the other reason why your conversion rate might well be higher is because of ShopPay. So Shopify's got its own payment system, ShopPay. If you pay on one Shopify site using it, then you have an easy checkout when you go to any other Shopify site. And we see that a large percentage of people who do pay by ShopPay. So another reason why your conversion rate is going to be higher, just an easier checkout. What else do you like about it?
Okay, my next thing is the App Store. So there's there's a huge ecosystem of apps. They're very easy to install. They're pretty cheap. Well, a lot of them are very cheap. It's very easy to extend the functionality. So not only can you do things like, if you want to, we have a range of recommended apps, like one of them being, say, image optimization, but also things you can go as an SEO app. It's very easy to integrate things like Google Shopping, Facebook, etc. And there's almost no problem for which there isn't an app on Shopify that you can just fix it. So there's no need. We had a client once that was trying to implement a subscription on Shopify, and their developer told them it was going to take them weeks of work to do it. And we looked very good by saying, look, you can just move to Shopify. You can just install one for like a tenner, and it'll work really well. And it's just pretty much any problem you want to solve, there's a solution already there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people almost see finding a problem on Shopify is actually a good thing. It's a business opportunity for you to create an app, because if you find it an issue, someone else will find it an issue.
So, Tom, you're a man of numbers, aren't you?
Yes, I like the reporting on Shopify. I am a man of numbers. I don't often admit this, let alone in public, but I did once train as an accountant. So I am numerical. And Shopify has a really good analytics suite in the back of it. So, there's all sorts of reports that are pre-set up for you. There's various bits of reporting. You can add filters and you can choose your time frames, and it just works quite well. There's, we know, it's something we've talked about in the past, that having reliable data in e-commerce is always a challenge. You're flooded with data, but not a lot of it is reliable. But I would trust conversion rate reporting on Shopify more than I would trust it on Google Analytics.
Mm.
There you go.
So,
High praise.
if you want to sell internationally on, there's something called Shopify Markets, which means that you can sell anywhere in the world from the same instance of Shopify. So you just select the markets and you can create the shipping rates, etc. And you can then use apps. For example, what's the one we used to? I've forgotten.
For
Translation.
Translation. So we use one called Langshot, which itself takes feeds from either Google Translate or ChatGPT or DeepL, depending on what quality of translation you want. So one of the challenges on selling overseas is you've got a problem, which is either you auto-translate everything and the translation is not great, or you manually translate everything and almost as soon as it's up there, it's out of date. But now that translations are getting better and better with these large language models like ChatGPT or DeepL, you can actually have a pretty good standard of automated translation, which is always up to date. So it's easy to put out your website in half a dozen different languages and cover the whole of Europe.
Yeah. So I find, so it's with Shopify Markets, which is a free Shopify app. It's very easy to create international versions of your site. They'll all be in the same URL. It'll be just like, vendlab /en/ and then it'll have the rest of the URL. So it's not as good a localization as if you have a specific separate website, but it's very quick to do. It's cheap and it works pretty well.
Yeah, and the currency side of it is done automatically. So if someone logs in from Spain, if you have the right geolocation app on it, it recognizes that and it serves them a price in euros. Whereas if they log in Poland, it's in zloty, whatever. So that side works very well. So talk about payment. I think Shopify takes away payment as being a hassle. It used to be, before Shopify, essentially payment was your issue. You needed to find a payment mechanism. You might use a business like Stripe or something like that to run your checkout. Shopify takes that all away, and fundamentally it just gives you the cleared money, and it takes almost all of the fraud risk as well. Not all of it, but most of it.
Well, also, if you have the things about using a third-party checkout, which Shopify is, or managed checkout, is you don't have to worry about the security of your website. In fact, that's the thing about security in general on Shopify. If you've got an out-of-the-box website, a managed service, they worry about the security and not you. So I've run a website in the past that was hacked, and we lost some money, and it was a real pain. With Shopify, it's a secure website. They are worrying about security. It's one less thing for you. Not just one enormous thing you don't have to worry about.
Yes.
So it's a very powerful reason for using it.
And that applies to customer data as well.
Yes, so you don't, it's one of those things. If you're hosting your own website, you have to worry about that kind of thing, and you need to be pretty sure you're good at it. And I would not like to these having done it in the past and screwed it up. I wouldn't be so confident anymore. That's maybe another thing. Just the performance in general. If you've got a hosted service, if you're hosting your own website, you have to worry about the performance of the website. In terms of the uptime. In terms of the load of the website. Shopify. You are with Shopify benefiting from their enormous infrastructure. So they are incentivized because they want everyone because they get most of their money from commission on sales, or from the payments. They incentivized to have a website which is high performing, and not only is good uptime, but also things like Tom mentioned, the checkout is high performing. So you can with very little money, you can have a high performing website if you start a Shopify store.
Yeah, your uptime is pretty well 100%. It goes down about as often as Amazon, which is fundamentally never. Whereas on your own website, you have to worry about, uptime, but also, peak loads. What if you send out an email or a social media post and your website gets flooded? Hosting it yourself, your hosting might not cope. Not an issue on Shopify.
So tell me, Tom, how much technical knowledge is required to launch a Shopify website?
Well, thank you very much for asking me, Trevor. Almost nothing. What this means in practice is that 10 years ago, an online retailer had to have a core competence at being good technically. Now you don't. Now you have to be, good at being a retailer, which is about having the right products and the right pricing, displaying them in the right way. So you can focus your energy on that rather than worrying and thinking about how technically to actually just get a website up there. So it's made that just much, much simpler. I mean, I suppose the downside of that is there's probably more of your competition out there because it's so easy. Anyone can go and do it.
What has become, that is true. I mean, I think that these days, the used to be that your competitive advantage might be how good your website was. And I think for 99.9% of retailers, it's not about that anymore. It's about, or brands, it's about using the best in class tool which is out there and concentrating on the quality of your offer and the quality of your product. I mean, unless you're Amazon or Marks and Spencer's or something like that, they're the only people that really should be developing their own website platforms. Because no one else is just, you're not going to be able to do as good as something which is someone else is developing off the shelf.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think another good thing about Shopify is it can link into your real world stores. So for a lot of retailers, they've got their own store, they've got a website. Shopify allows you to run both of those. The EPOS system for the store can run through your Shopify system. So that's quite nice.
Well, it's also not just that, but it can also range as an e-commerce platform. So you can, with Shopify Marketplace Connect, you can run your Amazon store, you can run your eBay store, and in fact, I mean, pretty much any platform will have a plugin for Shopify. So you can run your entire e-commerce business, including your marketplace business, and indeed things like email marketing. You can do it all through Shopify, which is great, particularly when you start off. I mean, it may be that for example, Shopify Mail is an email platform. It's really cheap to run. It's not as good as something like MailChimp, but it's an awful lot cheaper. It'll get you going.
Yeah, I'd agree with all of that. And I think in terms of cost, it works out, we used to have a business with a Magento site. We swapped over to a Shopify site and we actually saved money on it. The fees are higher on Shopify, but you don't have the hosting costs and you don't.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I can't remember how much Shopify, I mean, the most expensive Shopify, I think it's the Shopify or Shopify Advanced or something.
Plus, I believe.
Well, Shopify Plus is the enterprise level. I was talking about the standard level.
Shopify Advantage, I think,
yeah,
or Advanced.
I think it's Advanced, and that's about £300 or dollars a month. And I think that that's certainly people pay £1,000 on hosting. Yeah. So I think that it's pretty good value. I mean, they do charge. I mean, they charge a fixed cost, and then they also. They either charge a commission on the they charge payment processing fees, or they charge, if you're using something like Stripe or WorldPay, they charge a small percentage above that. So that's how they get most of the money. Which brings us on to the downsides of Shopify. I think for balance, I think we should have some downsides.
And there are a few.
There are a few. One, okay, we'll take this one at a time. So one is the payment gateway cost. So Shopify ShopPay is more expensive than something like Stripe or WorldPay. So you might pay 0.9% on Stripe or WorldPay, or certainly WorldPay, whereas you'd be paying more like, while it starts off at kind of 2 and a bit and it goes to 1.5% depending on what platform you're on. So, and also if you're using your own gateway, they will charge. Most of them will charge 0.5 on top of it. So it is more expensive, but then we recommend using ShopPay because the conversion rate's better.
Yeah. So what you lose on fees, you more than make up for in conversion rate, I believe. But on a similar kind of level, the overseas remittances, so the sales you make overseas get translated back into pounds. There isn't an option for you to do that yourself. So if you have a foreign currency bank account, you cannot put those foreign earnings into that bank account. So they translate it at the rate of their choice into your home currency, which for us is sterling, and they take a slice on that. So they don't use the most advantageous rate.
Yeah, so we worked out how much money Shopify must have in their bank account at any one time, because they take like a day to remit they take a day to remit the funds. So at any one time, they've got I can't remember how much it was, millions of pounds in their bank, £100 million in their bank account or something, which they're getting interest on.
Yeah.
Which is, and they don't do anything on.
Yeah.
Nice business. Anyway, so another thing is, I think Shopify really is generally for people. It's for companies that are happy with a fairly generic kind of, that sell quite simple products that, with physical, mainly physical, though possibly digital products, which don't really require any customization because the checkout is locked down. So if you've got something which requires a lot of customization, then maybe Shopify is not right for you. For some reason, I don't know, if you've got some product which needs, maybe it's flowers and you want to add cards and you want to add things like that and make it look beautiful, then probably Shopify is not right for you.
You can do some of that on Shopify. So let's just be clear. But if you want a high degree of customization, you can't do it. So yeah, other solutions might be better for you. But you're probably looking at a fairly expensive, complicated, bespoke site anyway for that. So
I think you need to ask yourself whether you could simplify your business and use Shopify. Would be because you either select a system and then mold your business around it, or you mold a system to your business and the difference is like 2 or 3 zeros on the end. So I think you need to ask yourself whether you really need to do it or not. So the last thing I think is if you're running multiple sites, I don't think it really works that well. I mean,
yes, this is where you have sites. Let's be clear. It doesn't. The solution for selling in multiple countries is okay, but it's not fantastic. So there are issues. You can have different content in different countries now. You didn't used to be able to do that until fairly recently. But it's still somewhat clunky the way the whole thing works. And, sometimes you might be better off having, different sites in different countries, especially when you get bigger and different countries are more important to you financially. So, yeah.
You could use something like, so that said, you could integrate something, use a system like Linworks and integrate multiple Shopify websites with it.
Yeah.
That would probably be the best thing to do. And there are some apps that will sync shop data. Though I haven't got experience with them, but yes, I think the more complicated a setup you've got, the more, well, any system it's difficult with, but particularly with Shopify's no exemption to that.
Yeah. So we'd always say just think carefully about what's right for your business. We do recommend Shopify to almost every client we meet because out of the choice of them, it's the easiest to use. It'll give you the best conversion rate, and it's the market leader for good reasons. And we've talked about most of those good reasons today. So, have you anything else to say?
Well, I think we usually. Well, I think we usually have some sort of thing that's inspired us this week. But I think obviously Shopify inspires us. But because Trump's been voted in, I think maybe we'll take a week off.
Yes, I wouldn't disagree with that. And I've had a cold, so I've not felt this week.
Right, Tom, until the next time, cheerio.
Good talking to you.
Bye.
Bye.